Good morning, people. Thank you for joining me on this very special week of devotions. It's Holy Week, and it's a week where we just look at the life of Jesus and we take out different things that happen on every single day, culminating in obviously the big deal of the resurrection, which is going to be next Sunday. So today is Sunday. It's Palm Sunday, to be absolutely correct. And it remembers how Jesus came into Jerusalem and the people who were waiting for a Savior heard about Jesus. Many had seen him, and they thought maybe this could be the guy. Maybe he could be the one who could be the Messiah of Israel. And so when Jesus came into Jerusalem, they welcomed him with palm branches and they threw down their garments in front of him for him to walk on. And it was their hope. It was their hope and their dream that this could be the Messiah who would deliver them, for them at that time, specifically from the Romans. So this week we're going to be looking at different aspects of this Holy Week. We're going to begin today by talking about a particular dilemma. You know, sometimes some things are so obvious that you can't see them. They're right under your nose. And the disciples who had been with Jesus all of that time had heard Jesus teach, had heard Jesus talk about his crucifixion that was about to happen, and yet they just didn't get it. But they weren't the only ones. But there were many people who heard about this, but they just chose either to ignore it or pretend that it wasn't going to happen. After all, they loved Jesus and they didn't want to have any talk about Jesus not being there, and certainly not to die upon a cross. But at the beginning of the week, just before the Palm Sunday event, there was a lady. Her name was Mary. And she came to Jesus one evening with a very expensive bottle of ointment and of perfume. And this is the night before Jesus was to go and to walk into Jerusalem. And she had listened to the talk. She was a woman, so she probably hadn't participated in too many of the conversations back then. That would have been deemed to be somewhat inappropriate. But she had listened and she had watched Jesus. And of all the people that didn't understand, she got it. She really got it. That night, Jesus was with his disciples, and they could probably sense his anxiety about the week that was about to happen. And Mary comes into the room amongst all those men, and you know the story. She took that expensive perfume and she poured it all over his feet and all over him, and she wiped his feet with her hair, and as an act of beautiful worship. And the disciples got upset with her, and they said, "What are you doing, woman? You get back in the kitchen where you belong. You don't belong here." She just took no notice. And just in that beautiful act, she must have looked at Jesus and said, "I get it. I get it. I understand what's going on. I understand what you are saying. I don't understand completely what this is going to look like, but Jesus, I get it. Jesus, I get it." And so she acted in that most sacrificial, beautiful way and poured out that ointment. The disciples were indignant. Who the heck does she think she is? What is she doing? And Jesus said this to the guys. If it were to put it in our language, he said, "Guys, be quiet. Because after all I've told you, you never got it. This woman has been a bystander to my conversations, and for goodness sake, she gets it. And the ointment that she's pouring out upon me is a picture of that death that I will die, and where they will take ointment and they will pour ointment on my dead body, as was the custom of the day." And Jesus said what she is doing now is prophetic of what's going to be happening in a week's time, but they still didn't get it. Let me ask you, straight up, do you get it? At this time, in the beginning of our Easter journey, do you get it? You've heard the story of Easter so many times, and we can trivialize it, we can make it less it is, and we can preach messages about the donkey and all that kind of stuff. That doesn't get it. Do you get it, people, that this is the beginning of the end of Jesus' life on earth, but at the same time is the beginning of something glorious for you and for me? As you go into Holy Week, once you read the story, read it again, and again. And you're saying, but Trevor, I read it many times. I've heard many sermons on this stuff. Read it again, people. And I hope that you get it. I hope to see you in church today. But if you're not there, then please watch this in the evening, and we'll pick up through the whole week on different events that took place. But I hope that we get it, because that's what Holy Week is all about. You guys have a good day today. We'll see you in church. Bye.